Hi, it's Netta Feinstein. Welcome to another entry for Hasidic Nurses Notes. Today is on the fourth day of the month of Sivan, the month where we celebrate the giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai. That comes 3,000 or more, 3,500 years ago. It's the 19th of the month of May. We have the holiday of Shavuos coming up in 3 days, and that's where we celebrate the giving of the Torah. And it's also called the Feast of Weeks in some biblical literature. So today's topic will be basically what are you going to do about the world situation? So before we start, you can see my hair is getting longer. I had it cut before Passover, and we don't cut it again till right before Shavuos or after Shavuos. Some people do it sooner, the holiday of Lag Bomer. So I think I'm going to make it. Won't get too long. Actually, when it gets a little longer, um, I start to look like I used to in the old days. My wife says, "Time to get the haircut." So you can state the progress as far as the counting of the days between Passover and Shavuos. So talking about the world situation, that was a minor aspect of it. That, needless to say, I think everybody knows that as much as ever, the world is in a critical state, and we're still waiting for some final solution with that state. Not tending to use those words, but and so what can I do as an individual aside from watch the social media clips and the news clips, and of which we're not even sure we can believe, and we're not clear on the progress as it is. So what am I going to do as an individual? So we can talk about it in group, discuss the politics, and then we finish that. It's like the end of a football game. We go about our lives. Maybe there's a few people in the room who have some power, but on the whole, we don't have a hotline to the president or the prime minister or to the head of world organizations. But we do have the hotline to God, Hashem. And with that in mind, that's one of the first things that should come to mind. That despite all the input and control of people and organizations, it's still under the control of God. It staggered the imagination. As I mentioned before, and so our morning meetings, declarations that God is everywhere. There's no place outside of God. God controls everything. Everything's by the hand of heaven, except we are given the ability to partner with God to make this world a more perfect place. He's left enough for us to do to let us be his partner. You know, it's a pretty great opportunity. So with that in mind, we can say, well, if there's something going on wrong in the world, is it possible we can come up with there's a reason? And oftentimes we can't. It's even stated in literature that's beyond our knowledge and understanding why certain things happen in the world. It says that again, the Pirkei Avos, the Ethics of the Fathers. But that doesn't stop us by saying, is there something I or we have contributed that may have caused this to happen? And it's not an exercise in futility. The Maimonides, the Rambam, states in his literature, that sometimes we have to look at where the world is balanced on a scale and it may be tipping in the wrong direction. And only takes a little small bit of weight on the scale dish or maybe on the arm to tilt the scale in the other direction. And that small bit of weight or influence can come from an individual. So we have no idea what a good deed an individual does can do to tip the scale for the benefit of the whole world. So it's not futile for you to start thinking like this. And even if you can't find a direct relation, because we can do what we call it a self-analysis or self-accounting, judgment and nefesh. Is there something I can do related, even not related, that I should be doing? And quoted before that if we put our will aside, then God will put aside the will of others in our favor. Now, who are we? Who am I speaking to? Um, Although this class is generated by my desire to help the Noachic cause grow and be effective, I mean effective. That's also, I'm hoping that my Jewish brothers may be able to extract something useful from this because the number of generalities I present may be hopefully common to everybody. So with that in mind, we have a variety of people, and I had a trouble with that concept when I first started this because I had a Noahide class which I advertised. I saw a little bit of I saw a need, and the person who was in a Noahide group that preceded me that actually persuaded me to take this on. They were very good at public relation graphics. Made a bunch of posters for me, which I distributed in some shuls. I made some calls to rabbis, and one was kind enough to give me his facility and refreshments. And we had a fair crowd, maybe like 20, 25 people for a starter. Nothing in the main media, and not knowledge of what kind of participation we would get. But it turned out to be a good meeting. But I was very naive to what needed to be done. Where were these people holding their knowledge and background and their outlook? So this stopped me from making another class besides because I saw there was a whole cross section of people there with different involvements, and I had to get myself more acclimated to what Noachite was or wasn't, and what to present. I actually asked rabbis if they would make a presentation uh, to the Noachites, and invariably, what do you want me to speak about? And I said, I thought myself self-evident, but not true. What you may speak to one group, I mean, it's not like we're trying to find out that to bring people from zero knowledge to some level of knowledge. What I found was people with a lot of knowledge needed it focused and developed. So here we have a good cross section of people, and my Jewish brethren as well, I hope. And to set things straight, that using this Torah portion of last week and this week, the book of Numbers, the Midbar, the fourth book of the five books of Moses, that it begins with an introduction of counting the Jewish people by tribe and delineating the tribe and their responsibilities, their privileges, their status, and their location regarding to set up around the called the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and when they travel, all sorts of delineations. And not only that, um, what the effect of being close to one tribe had the effect for another tribe. So this is not a new concept that we have a great cross section of people involved for the same purpose, each with different backgrounds, responsibilities, privileges, and so forth. But we're all at the same world, with the same purpose. So with that in mind, um, I say to the Noachites, and I've said it before, you're in position to speak to groups and people that we have difficulty reaching, or you can go into places where we can't go, and you can make an influence that we can't. I remember in my early days, they had these great big yeshiva dinners. Well, they still have it now, but where I was located, I was, how would you say, more prone to be able to go to them. And they always had a keynote speaker, and the large spread, meal, and many people would show up, supporters. The rabbis would go at great length to bring people in who are marginally involved. And on the whole, the speaker was not a Hasidic Jew, even not even necessarily Orthodox, but someone of, how would you say, more of a secular background who was successful or well known in what they did. And he could speak for an hour. And somehow the fact that he was supporting these Orthodox and Hasidic Jews from his background seemed to have an inside influence. That if I imagine a rabbi with a beard and a black hat and a black coat speaking to them, it would be like, all right, that's his world. I really can't relate to it. Or he's saying what, his experiences are. But to see someone who was from a different background backing us up, that seemed to make an impression. And it wasn't not a one-time thing that I saw this. I even saw, I don't know how much details I can give, but I saw there was an industry, a Jewish industry, very big, and with a critical product. And the person who was making the presentation was like a clean shaven, no yarmulke, tall, like a Western dress suit, like I don't know if he had the string tie or not, but the accent was not from New York, that's for sure. And he made a very um, noteworthy presentation. And he knew how to speak. This was a professional salesman in my book. So we can't get hung up on classifications, who can do what and who can't do what. So we're here under God's wing, trying to make this a better place for all people. And I think if I that would be the one point I could make tonight. And the second point is to mention something that the Rebbe had said, which I saw on a clip somebody sent me, that the Lubavitcher Rebbe commented on a question of where to draw the line between religious observance, I guess meaning the mitzvahs between man and God, and worldly performance, business, for example, education, political involvement. So, how do you draw the line in your conduct between the two? And the Rebbe said there is no line. It's all under the same umbrella of Torah and Torah conduct. And this was exemplified by the fact that a lot of time and print was put into the Torah regarding having just, honest weights and measures and practices in business concerning that, and consequences of not observing that. And so, again, wherever you are, it's not a matter of how religious you are, how spiritual you are, what rituals you're doing. It's all under the same umbrella. It's all under the will of God, whom we want to get close to. And there are many ways to do that. Take, for example, charity. It's not one of the seven mitzvahs, but charity is unique in that in making peace. Making peace in the world will bring us back to the observance of some of these mitzvahs. If there's peace in the world and people are not under duress, then I think it stands to reason that it'll be a decrease or elimination of murder and theft and even improper, moral behavior for starters, and to support the justice system. And the unique thing about charity, which however may be done, especially if it comes from a person's earnings, a person earns, works, it usually involves his head, his arms, the legs, the whole body. And therefore, when a person gives of the money he makes, he's giving of his, sacrificing his own self for the benefit of the world and the pleasure of God. And another teaching is that if anybody's done any of the reading of the Torah, and the care has to be given to the poor, orphans, widows, should protect everybody. It shouldn't be, but that this effort does not go unnoticed. And whatever expenditure there is, it's considered a loan to God. And God doesn't like to be in debt. So if you give of yourself, whatever it is, that you haven't just thrown away your assets, they'll be coming back and with more. Sometimes perception of how they come, that's in God's hands. But again, stemming back again to Amunah, faith in God, that this makes the world go around. And this is a motivation to go beyond our limits. And this is a motivation to stay away from what we need to stay away from. So, with coming of the Shavuos, the Torah is for everybody as far as delineating conduct, providing pathways for righteousness, and no matter what you do, it's going to come back. And if you can't get the attention of the Jewish organizations at this moment, that's not going to stop you. That's not going to stop your relationship with God. And you may even really set an example, be a catalyst at least, and for the rest of the world. So God should bless you all. And I hope to speak to you at another time. And thank you for your participation.